Very good morning, students. This is Jyotisri, JL in Chemistry, AP Balayogi Gurukulam, Chipurpalli. In this video, I am going to teach you about semiconductors under the solid state chapter in the senior intermediate chemistry. In the previous lesson, we learned about the conductivity of a material or a substance. The conductivity is the ease with which electric current can pass through a substance. We all know all solids do not conduct electricity in equal amounts. Some of them have high conductivity, whereas some of them do not conduct electricity, and some maybe conduct electricity in partial manner. So the electrical properties of the solids are measured in terms of conductivity. Basing on this conductivity process, the solids are broadly divided into three types. They are called conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. I repeat, basing on the electrical properties of the solids are broadly divided into three types. First one conductors, insulators, and third one semiconductors. Okay students, I repeat once again. Basing on the electrical properties of the solids, all the solids are divided into three categories called conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. Okay students, let us see what is meant by a conductor. Conductor may be any material that allows electric current to pass through it. So, the conductor is the substance which allows electric current through it. For examples, copper, aluminum or steel are called good conductors of electricity. Why? Because they conduct electricity in the solid state, or we can say in general any metal is a good conductor of electricity. We can define a conductor is a material that readily allows the flow of electricity or the flow of electrons. A good conductor has a high numerical value of conductivity and a less numerical value of resistance. It is because if the resistance is less, conductivity is more, and resistance is high, conductivity is less. So a good conductor has high value of conductivity and low value of resistance. Let us say what is meant by an insulator. An insulator is a material that doesn't allow electric current to pass through it. It means it doesn't allow the flow of electrons through it. For example, all the plastics, rubber, glass, paper, wood comes under insulating material. So these are about insulator. Insulator is the material which doesn't allow electricity or electric current through it. Here it is a picture shows the copper in a plastic wire. Copper is a conductor and the coated plastic is an insulator. That's why in our daily life we will see this type of wires in our household itself. So in this the copper wire is a good conductor of electricity and the plastic coating wire is a bad conductor, or we can call it as a insulator. Here I am showing 5 electrical conductors and 5 electrical insulators. All the metals like silver, gold, copper, steel and see what all these are good conductors of electricity, whereas rubber, glass, paper, oil, diamond, dry wood, all these are bad conductors of electricity, so they are the insulators. Okay students, have you got a clear picture about conductors and insulators? The material which allows electric current is a conductor, and which does not allow electric current through it is called an insulator. Okay, this is about conductors and insulators. Now let us see what is meant by a semiconductor. This is the third type of electrical property of the solids. A semiconductor is a material that has intermediate conductivity values between a conductor and an insulator. So we cannot say it doesn't conduct electricity, and we cannot say it completely conducts electricity. So it is an intermediate material in between conductors and the insulators. That's why these are called semiconductors. So the best examples for a semiconductors are pure silicon, germanium of the fourth group. The magic word semiconductor is composed of two words, semi and conductor. Semi means not completely, partially, while conductor means something which can conduct electricity. That's why semiconductor is a material which allows the electric current partially through them. This is the band energy diagram in conductors, semiconductors and insulators. If you observe the band, conduction band, valence band in the conductors or metals, the conduction band and valence band overlaps with each other. So the electrons will flow from valence band to conduction band and conduct electricity. In case of insulators, there is a large energy gap or Fermi energy gap between conduction band and valence band. So it is not possible to move an electron from conduction valence band to conduction band. So that's why the insulators are not in a position to conduct electricity. But in case of semiconductors, if we observe the band gap or the energy gap, the Fermi energy levels is in between conductors and insulators, that is, it is higher than conductors and smaller than insulators. So by giving small amount of energy, the electron will move from valence band to conduction band and conduct electricity. That's why they are called semiconductors. This picture also showing about the band gap or the energy gap between valence band and conduction band in insulators, semiconductors and conductors. So there is a large band gap in insulators and very less energy gap in semiconductors, no energy gap in the conductors. So with the band energy diagram of the materials, we can say some important points. In conductors, they have very small energy gap. As a result, current flows easily. In insulators, they have large energy gap between valence band and conduction band. So it is not possible to conduct electricity. So no current will flow. But in semiconductors, they have medium energy gap between conductors and insulators. So as a result, when small amount of current will flow from valence band to conduction band. In this video, I am going to teach you about semiconductors and the classification of semiconductors. Already we learned a semiconductor is a material that has a conductivity in between the insulators and conductors. Without semiconductor material, nowadays no electronic good is working. So we have to learn something about semiconductors in our intermediate study. Okay students? Before going to study about the semiconductors classification, first we will see the energy band diagram for semiconductors. We all know in the band energy diagram, two types of bands will be there. Valence band and conduction band. In semiconductors, there is a small energy gap between valence band and conduction band. So, by giving small amount of energy, the electron from valence band will move towards the conduction band and conducts electricity. When the electron moves from valence band to conduction band, it will create a vacant space or empty space in the valence band, which is called hole. So, hole is the empty space created by the electron when it moves from valence band to conduction band in semiconductors. This picture, the second picture, the red rounded space indicates the empty space created by the electron when it moves from valence band to conduction band. So in semiconductors, the charge carriers are negatively charged electrons and positively charged hole. So hole and electron are the charge carriers in the semiconductors. Semiconductors are broadly classified into two types. Intrinsic semiconductors or pure semiconductors. And the second one is extrinsic semiconductors or impure semiconductors. Okay. Semiconductors are how many types? Two types. Intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors. This picture tells about the detailed classification of semiconductors. Semiconductors are broadly classified into two types. Intrinsic or pure semiconductors, extrinsic or impure semiconductors. Again, the extrinsic semiconductors are classified into two categories, p-type semiconductor and type semiconductor. Okay, students? Let us see what is meant by intrinsic semiconductor or pure semiconductor. The name itself indicates the semiconductor which does not have any kind of impurity is called intrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductor behaves as an insulator at 0 Kelvin temperature and it behaves as a conductor at higher temperature. Intrinsic semiconductor is a pure form of the semiconductor. The best examples for intrinsic semiconductors are germanium and silicon of fourth group. These are the best examples. Germanium and silicon. I repeat, pure semiconductors or intrinsic semiconductors are those which does not have any impurities in them. Best example, silicon and germanium. This picture tells about the crystalline structure of intrinsic semiconductor, that is silicon. If we observe the valence shell of a silicon atom, it contains 4 unpaired electrons. So, it has a capacity to form 4 covalent bonds with its neighboring atoms, either with silicon or any other atom. So, it is capable of forming how many bonds, children? 4 bonds. So, this picture is a crystalline structure of intrinsic semiconductor, that is silicon. Coming to the next classification of semiconductors, that is extrinsic semiconductors or impure semiconductors. The name itself indicates that it is impure, means some impurities are present in these semiconductors. So the extrinsic semiconductors are those semiconductors in which there are some impurities are present. Generally, the impurities are of third group elements or fifth group elements. Basing on the impurities present in the extrinsic semiconductors, the extrinsic semiconductors are classified into two categories called N-type semiconductors and P-type semiconductors. This classification is based on the type of impurity present in that semiconductor. Already we have seen by adding some impurity to the pure semiconductor, it becomes extrinsic semiconductor of N-type or P-type. So the adding or the process of adding impurity to the pure semiconductor is called doping. I repeat, the process of adding impurities to the pure semiconductors is called doping. Why we are carrying this doping? Why we are impure the pure semiconductor? Because to increase the electrical conductivity of the semiconductors, we are doping the material or we are adding the impurities. The adding impurities are two types. They are pentavalent impurities from the fifth group elements or trivalent impurities from the third group elements. When we add fifth group elements as impurities, then more electrons or more free electrons will produced. Then that type of semiconductor is N-type. If you add third group element just like boron, gallium, indium, aluminum, then number of holes are formed. So that type of semiconductor is called P-type semiconductor. It is very, very important concept, students. So doping is the addition of very minute quantities of impurities to the pure semiconductor. This added impurities changes the number of available free electrons or holes. So by doping process, the conductivity of semiconductors increases. By doping process, there are two types of semiconductors will be formed. First one is N-type semiconductor and second one is P-type semiconductor. This picture shows the formation of N-type semiconductor. In order to form N-type semiconductor, we have to add pentavalent atoms like phosphorus, arsenic, antimony type of 50A group elements to the pure semiconductor called silicon. As they are pentavalent impurities or the pentavalent atoms, the phosphorus is having 5 outermost electrons and silicon is having 4 electrons. So the pentavalent atom phosphorus forms 4 bonds leaving 1 electron free. Thus, by adding 1 phosphorus atom, 1 free electron is produced. So, if we add number of millions of phosphorus atoms in small quantities, number of free electrons are produced. That's why the P-type of or N-type of semiconductors, the free electron will conduct the electricity. So, in the N-type of semiconductors, electrons are the majority carriers and holes are the minority carriers. So here it is a formation of N-type semiconductor which produces abundance of free electrons. So it is formed by doping pentavalent atoms such as phosphorus, arsenic, antimony to the pure silicon atoms. Each pentavalent atom will have 4 covalent bonds with 1 extra electron. That extra free electron is available as a charge carrier. So this pentavalent atom donates a free electron and it is therefore called donor atom. Also it is called donor impurity. The pentavalent atoms are called donor impurity. So the free electrons are the majority carriers in the N-type semiconductors and the holes are the minority carriers. This is how we can explain the formation of N-type semiconductor. Children, I repeat, N-type semiconductor is formed when we add pure semiconductor to the pentavalent atom, or if we add pentavalent atom to the pure semiconductor, an extrinsic n-type semiconductor is formed. This picture also tells about the formation of n-type semiconductors or n-type extrinsic semiconductor, which is formed by adding pentavalent impurity to the pure silicon atom. Here silicon is a pure intrinsic semiconductor and phosphorus is a pentavalent impurity atom. As it produces extra free electron, this atom pentavalent impurity is called donor impurity. So n-type semiconductors are formed when we dope donor impurity to the pure semiconductor. Now let us see how the p-type semiconductor is formed. P-type extrinsic semiconductor is formed when we add small amount of third A group element impurity, boron, indium, gallium, thallium, etc. So when we add indium to the pure silicon semiconductor, as it is having only 3 outermost electrons, unpaired electrons, so it can form only 3 covalent bonds with neighboring silicon atoms. So there is an empty space for formation of a bond is there, which is called hole. So by adding one indium to the pure semiconductor, one hole is formed. This hole is a charge carrier. So in p-type semiconductors, the charge carriers or majority charge carriers are holes and the minority charge carriers are electrons. Okay, students? So we can explain the formation of p-type semiconductors, which creates abundance of holes in the material, as follows. So by doping trivalent impurity such as boron, gallium or aluminum, they will produce number of holes in the material, and this type of semiconductor is called p-type semiconductor. One electron is missing from one of the 4 covalent bonds, which is called hole. So these trivalent atoms are called acceptor atoms because they accept any free electrons to fill the holes. When accepting an electron from its neighboring atoms, a hole is created due to the deficiency of electrons. Hence we can say the trivalent atoms added impurities or trivalent impurities are called acceptor impurities. So if more trivalent atoms are added, there will be more number of holes than free electrons. Hence holes are majority carriers in the p-type semiconductors and free electrons are the minority carriers. This is how we can explain the formation of p-type semiconductors. This picture also tells about the formation of p-type extrinsic semiconductor by adding acceptor impurity like aluminum to the pure semiconductor silicon. The aluminum will form 3 covalent bonds with neighboring silicon atoms. There is a presence of hole in the aluminum atom through which it can conduct electricity through holes. So we can say holes are the majority carriers in the p-type semiconductors and electrons are the minority carriers. Here silicon is the pure intrinsic semiconductor and aluminum is the trivalent impurity atom, or we can call it as a acceptor impurity, and this picture shows the formation of p-type extrinsic semiconductor. Here it is a picture of extrinsic semiconductors of both the types, n-type and p-type. In the p-type there is a pentavalent impurity, phosphorus is there, which is also called donor impurity and contributes number of free electrons. So in n-type the majority carriers are electrons. In case of p-type semiconductors there is a trivalent impurity or acceptor impurity and boron is present and it creates a hole. So the majority carriers in p-type semiconductors is holes. So here it is the picture which explains the difference between N-type and P-type semiconductors. First we have to explain N-type semiconductor is formed by doping the intrinsic semiconductor with pentavalent impurity. And P-type semiconductor is formed when we dope the intrinsic semiconductor with trivalent impurity. In case of N-type semiconductors, electrons are the majority carriers and holes are the minority carriers. In case of P-type semiconductors, holes are the majority carriers and electrons are the minority carriers. In the N-type semiconductor, it has donor energy level very close to the conduction band. And in the P-type semiconductors, the energy level is very close to the valence band. When temperature is increased, N-type semiconductors can easily donate an electron from donor energy level to the conduction band. In case of P-type semiconductor, when the temperature increases, the P-type semiconductors can easily accept an electron from valence band to donor energy level and conduct electricity. Is it clear, students? This table also explains the difference between P-type and N-type semiconductors in different way. What is the group of doping element and the nature of doping element and type of impurity and what are the majority carriers and what are the minority carriers, what is the effect of density of electrons. All these factors are shown in this table. In the point of competitive exams, it is very important, students. Okay, students, till now I explained the formation of semiconductors and the classification of semiconductors. Just I recall the topic once again. The semiconductors are mainly classified into two types, intrinsic and extrinsic. The pure form is intrinsic and impure form is extrinsic. And the extrinsic semiconductors are again two types, N-type and P-type. So it is very important here is what type of impurity we are adding and what type of impurity in that material. It decides the majority carriers and the minority carriers in the semiconductors. Okay. So here are some important properties of semiconductor. Semiconductor has a negative temperature coefficient of resistance. That is, the resistance of a semiconductor decreases with increasing temperature and vice versa. The resistivity lies between insulator and a conductor. The most important point is doping increases the conductivity of a semiconductor, and at absolute zero temperature, semiconductor behaves as a perfect insulator. But at room temperature, the semiconductor behaves as a good conductor. Okay, students? So why the resistance of a semiconductor decreases with increasing temperature? Because as the temperature increases, it heats up, releasing many electrons from their atoms. These electrons are now available for the conduction and so the resistance decreases. This liberation of electrons can also be caused by light shining of the material. Here are some pictures in which the semiconductors are used. Just like OLEDs, organic light emitting diodes, and RFIDs, organic nano radio frequency identification devices, and solar cells. Nowadays, no electronic good is working without the semiconductors. This is the wide range of applications of semiconductors. This picture also tells about the applications of semiconductors in various fields, just like power devices and antennas, radio frequency electronic devices, transistors, and optics, fiber optics, logic scale transistors, and all these. Future is the nanotechnology, which completely depends upon the semiconductor material. With this, I conclude my lesson, that is, electrical properties of the solids are the particularly semiconductors and the classification of semiconductors and the formation of various types of semiconductors. I think all of you enjoyed my lesson. Okay, students? Thank you very much.